Every morning, you probably wake up and do the same thing. Grab your phone and scroll. You see the same headlines, the same names, the same stories repeated over and over, while the world's attention is fixed on a few key conflicts. Entire nations in Africa are bleeding in silence, far away from the cameras and breaking news alerts. Right now, as we speak, families are fleeing gunfire, carrying nothing but the clothes on their backs. Villages that once thrived with life now stand empty and abandoned. Homes have been burned to the ground. Children, separated from their parents, are walking for days, sometimes weeks, searching for a safe place to sleep, not knowing if they'll find one. In countries like Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and across the vast Sahel region, unimaginable violence has become a grim part of daily life. Ruthless armed groups are locked in brutal fights for power, for land, and for valuable resources. And who is trapped in the middle of this chaos? Ordinary people, civilians. There are no global sirens for them, no constant news updates filling our feeds, and certainly no loud, sustained international outrage. Their suffering unfolds in a deafening quiet. Imagine a mother, her heart aching, struggling to find even a handful of grain to feed her starving children because all the food is gone. Imagine a father who leaves for work and never comes back, lost in the crossfire. Schools, the very places that hold the key to a better future, are shut down or destroyed. Hospitals, meant to be sanctuaries of healing, are either bombed out or left with no medicine, no doctors, and no hope. Life, as they know it, is just breaking down, piece by piece, day by day. Aid workers on the ground are sending out desperate warnings. They talk of famine on a massive scale, of diseases spreading like wildfire, and of millions being displaced from their homes. But their voices are like a whisper in a storm, rarely reaching the global stage. And even when they do, the world's attention span is fleeting. The story might flicker for a moment before the spotlight moves on to something else, something considered more important. This silence is not because the suffering is any less real or the pain any less severe. It's because these conflicts are systematically ignored. They don't involve powerful global alliances. They don't generate viral headlines. And they don't create a sense of urgency among world leaders who have the power to intervene. Africa is not a single story. It's a continent of incredible diversity, with countless different cultures, peoples, and nations. But so many of them share one painful reality: their suffering doesn't trend. Their crises don't go viral. In this video, we're going to pull back the curtain on the deadliest conflicts in Africa that the world is choosing to ignore. We will break down what is happening, explore the complex reasons why it's happening, and shine a light on the innocent people who are paying the ultimate price. This isn't just about the politics of war. It's about forgotten lives, unseen pain, and a global system that decides whose life matters and whose doesn't. Please, stay with us. Don't look away, because these are the stories that need to be heard the most. Thanks for watching. Across Africa, conflict isn't a single, loud explosion. It's a slow burn, a creeping fire that moves from one village to the next, from one region to another, until the very idea of a normal life vanishes. People wake up each morning with a heavy question in their hearts. Will today be peaceful, or will it be deadly? Take Sudan, for example. Intense fighting between armed groups has transformed bustling cities into desolate battlegrounds. Streets that once echoed with the sounds of markets and children playing are now silent, scarred by destruction. Homes, the very symbols of safety, are struck by shells, trapping families inside without electricity, without clean water, and with no safe way out. We see families fleeing on foot, mothers carrying their children, fathers clutching small bags with their only remaining possessions. They walk for days under a relentless sun, crossing borders to find refuge in camps that are already overflowing. Even there, hunger and fear are their constant companions. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, this nightmare has lasted for decades. Armed groups clash over land and precious minerals, but it's the civilians who bear the ultimate cost. Imagine your village being attacked in the dead of night. People run into the dense forests to hide, forced to leave everything they've ever known behind in an instant. Children in these regions grow up surrounded by a fear so constant it becomes their normal. Many have never experienced a single day of true peace. Schools, meant to be havens of learning and hope, are closed repeatedly, turning education into an impossible dream. To survive, some children are tragically forced into labor or even recruited by armed groups. Now, let's look at the Sahel region, an area that includes parts of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Here, instability doesn't respect borders. It spreads like a disease. Attacks are sudden and brutal, targeting villages, soldiers, and even the aid workers trying to help. Entire communities are forced to live in a state of constant, paralyzing fear, always waiting for the next raid. And climate change is pouring gasoline on this fire. Severe droughts are destroying crops and drying up water sources. When people can no longer farm their land or feed their families, desperation grows, tensions rise, and the sparks of violence catch fire far more easily. Inside these conflict zones, hospitals are on the brink of collapse. Doctors and nurses work tirelessly with shockingly limited supplies. Essential medicines run out. Every day, more injured people arrive, but there aren't enough beds, enough surgical tools, or enough staff to save everyone. It's an impossible situation. Women and girls suffer in ways that are often hidden. Many are left to care for their families alone after losing their husbands and relatives to the violence. They face unimaginable dangers during displacement and struggle to protect their children with almost nothing. And then there's the quiet, creeping crisis of hunger. As conflict spreads, markets close, and supply routes are cut off. The price of food skyrockets, becoming completely unaffordable for most families. Hunger becomes a daily, gnawing reality, hitting children and the elderly the hardest. International aid does exist, but it's a drop in an ocean of need. Many of the worst hit areas are simply too dangerous for aid workers to reach. Convoys carrying life-saving supplies are delayed, blocked, or even attacked. When help does get through, it's never enough to meet the overwhelming demand. Why don't we hear more about these crises? The brutal truth is that they often don't involve the world's major powers or fit into a simple geopolitical narrative. Media attention moves on to the next big story, and these slow-burning conflicts fade from our screens and our minds. They become forgotten, but for the people living through them, the crisis never fades. It is there every waking moment. Every decision they make is a choice between life and death. Every day is a struggle for survival. These forgotten conflicts reveal a painful truth about our world. Immense suffering doesn't always command attention. Millions of lives can be shattered quietly, without headlines, without a sense of global urgency. But these conflicts are not forgotten by the people who live them. They are the ones who carry the pain, the loss, and the flicker of hope that one day the world will finally turn its attention their way and recognize their humanity. Thank you for watching and for taking the time to remember. As the fighting continues, days turn into months and months turn into years. For many families, there is no clear end in sight, only the routine of survival. Waking up, searching for food, protecting children, and hoping the night passes without violence. In refugee camps, people wait. They wait for news, for aid, for peace. Tents stretch as far as the eye can see, filled with stories of loss and escape. Life is paused, but time does not stop. Children grow up in these camps, knowing more about fear than play. Their childhoods are shaped by conflict they did not choose and a world that rarely notices them. The silence around these crises is not accidental. Attention follows power, money, and influence. Where these are absent, suffering is often ignored. Yet these lives matter just as much as any others. Every person lost is a future erased. Every conflict ignored becomes harder to end. Africa does not need pity. It needs attention, understanding, and action. It needs the world to see these conflicts not as distant problems, but as human tragedies happening right now. The forgotten wars of Africa remind us that global awareness is selective, but suffering is universal. If we only care when it trends, we fail those who need us most. The question is not why Africa is in crisis. The question is why the world keeps looking away.